Well, hey, it's good to see you again. My name is Jaded Ben, and welcome back to this YouTube channel of mine where I'm a count, not a saint. We're back with another list video. Today we're going to talk about my concert bucket list and 10 bands that I have never seen live, but would very much like to. But before we get into that, we're going to start by what is playing in the background just right over there today. There's going to be the album from Zombie entitled 2020, released in, you guessed it, 2020 on Relapse Records. This is the another project of A.E. Patera on drums and Steve Moore on synths and guitars. Just a straight instrumental record. These guys, as far as I know, haven't played any shows. I know them through the band Miracle, specifically the last album, The Strife of Love and a Dream, which A.E. Patera guested on. And that's also a very, very good record. So if you like that kind of like synth wave, synth rock, dark synth style, check this album out. You're not going to regret it at all. So, before we get into the 10 bands that I want to see live, we're going to do just a little bit of some criteria. Bands that have retired are not on this list because they have retired. I do not expect them to come back. Not saying if they do reform that they wouldn't be on this list. We'll cross that bridge another time when that inevitably happens. Bands that have never played shows or have no intention of playing shows, as they have stated in the past, are not on this list. So that rules out Darkthrone is a good example of that. If they were still active and playing shows, they'd be at the very, very top of this list. And finally, any bands that are going on a farewell tour or side tribute acts, not included. So that leaves a couple of bands out of here, such as Death to All, which is another side of Death that I haven't quite seen yet. I've seen Left to Die. So we're going to push them off to the side, though I'd very much like to see them in person as well. Okay. We're going to start off with the biggest band on the list, and I think for anyone that knows me relatively well or has seen the channel in the past, there's pretty much one answer that I said every single time I show them off in a video. That is going to be Skinless. I have yet to see these guys. I have been a fan of these guys for the better part of, going on 7-8 years now. I first started listening to them in 2017, 2018. My first introduction to them was the album Savagery, and the reason I can say I've never seen the band before is they pretty much stopped playing tours after 2007 to 2008. However, the last possible chance that I would have had to have seen them was Wrecking Ball Metal Madness in Dallas on October 28th of 2023. Now I know what you're thinking, Jaded Ben, that is a very, very recent time. Why weren't you there? I had tickets for another show that day. I went to go see Dying Fetus instead. So, sadly, the 3-hour drive to Dallas wasn't in the cards. But I have a suspicion they'll be back, especially with their ever-growing relationship with Frozen Soul, as well as their constant friendship with a lot of bands in the Texas death scene, such as the next band that I'm going to talk about on the list here, Devourment. Sadly, this band falls into the same category that Skinless does. I had tickets to another show that happened on the very same day as Devourment was here last, which was Come and Take It Live, Austin, Texas, May 27th, 2023. There were 2 instances of that happening in 2023, and I can never let myself get over that. That was terrible, and I have a suspicion they'll be back because they are based out of Texas, so I have a feeling it won't be too long. I know they played some Houston shows, I know they played some Dallas shows. Just need the circumstances to line up right. I don't mind traveling to any of those cities, or San Antonio, or wherever. So that's going to be on the list there, so yeah. Next up, we're going to talk about At the Gates. The band has not done a United States tour since 2019. The last chance I would have had to see them was at the Aztec Theater in San Antonio, October 20th of 2019. So that was just after To Drink From the Night itself had come out. The Nightmare Being wasn't out yet. I didn't really dive into the band until somewhere in between those two, I'd say about 2019, 2020. So I was outside of that. I saw on Setlist FM that they had played a show at the Mohawk in Austin, Texas in 2016, and oh man, what a set. I'll put that on the screen there for you. Oh man, I wish I was a fan of that band earlier, because man, I would have gone to that show at 16 years of age. That would have been so much fun. but alas, they have yet to come back to the States at all since the pandemic. So, fingers crossed that will change sometime in the near future. The next band on the list is a very, very old school band. They have stated at the moment that there is no plans for them to tour, that there is no plans to write new music under this current lineup, but they did say things would change. So I'm not exactly going to rule them out here, though if they came to the States, this would be incredible. I wouldn't mind traveling a little ways to go and see them. I am referring to Grave. Man, absolute legends. Into the Grave and You'll Never See are just some of the best releases out there. The last chance we would have had to have seen them was at Backstage Live in San Antonio, October 19th of 2012. So they have not touched the state of Texas in going on almost a decade and a half now, which is a damn shame. Again, I'm also going to rule out, these bands have played shows in like California, New York, Maryland for all the Death Fests and whatnot. I have no current desire to travel out that far. Not saying it won't ever happen, but just at the moment, doesn't really seem to be anything I've got in the cards because I've got a lot of things going on here at home. So try to stay as close to the state of Texas as I can. But that was the last time they were in the state of Texas, and God, it's been a long time. They're back together with one of their old lineups, and they're playing the first 3 albums on a set. I very much love them to bring that to the States, even for just a very, very short run. I wouldn't even mind traveling to New Mexico or Louisiana to go and see them, but maybe one day. Okay. Speaking of bands that have never really stepped foot on U.S. soil, Sodom. The band hadn't really ever played any U.S. shows. They played the Hills Heroes Festival in Houston, March of last year, March 23rd, 2024, and that was the last chance. I believe that is their only Texas show to date. Their last shows before that were in 2006, and Tom Angel Ripper has already stated that he is wanting to slow the band down and eventually phase out the project altogether. So I'm hoping we'll get at least one proper U.S. tour sometime in the future. Just one. I don't care how far that goes away from the state of Texas. Most of the other ones I do, but this one I feel like it's going to be my last chance. It's going to be my only chance and my last chance. So, yeah. Speaking of bands that kind of emanate from the state of Texas, we're going to cover a big one here and another one that I missed. Power Trip out of Dallas, Texas. The last chance that I would have had to see them was their reunion show at the Mohawk, Austin, Texas, December 2nd, 2023. Man, 2023 was a year of missed opportunities for me, wasn't it? So the whole story about that is we had gone to see a show a couple days prior. I don't remember exactly what show. I will put it on the screen here. We took that day off. We saw The Fugitive was headlining. There was a special guest, and we were like, okay, whatever. We want to see Fugitive. We'll hopefully get back to them another day. And then we were going to go see Incantation and Suffocation the very next day. We did end up going to both of those shows on either end of the Fugitive show. However, I made a joke to my brother that, oh, the mystery band, oh, it couldn't be Power Trip. There's no way. There's no way it's Power Trip. It was Power Trip. We went to the show in San Antonio the very next day, and so many people were freaking out about it, especially, they were like, hey, are you from San Antonio? No, we're from Austin. Did you go to the Power Trip show yesterday? No, we didn't know that was going to happen, and boy, am I kicking myself for it. They did a show in Dallas not too long ago, and that also would have been a super, super fun time, but I'm just hoping they'll come back to the state of Texas one more time. I understand the idea of Seth carrying on Riley's legacy. I understand both sides of the argument. I understand it's never going to be the same without Riley. But then again, I feel like that's what Riley would have wanted. There was a lot of legal drama and stuff like that. So I'm not going to cover any of that. But as a fan, it was great to see those guys get back together again. It's great to see them play shows still, even though they're not doing extensive touring except for Europe, which they're about to do one of these days. That's all I want. Okay. We've got a few more here to talk about. Let's talk about a band that has not played very many shows in the United States at all. And one that I was almost certain was not going to be on this list because I figured the band was going to retire, Demolish. Demolish has stated in the past that he was going to write one more album, and that if he didn't do it, the band was done. He wasn't going to play any more shows until that album was done, if at all. A show got announced very, very recently, and I believe it's happened. I don't know on the screen. Don't remember when that's happening. Don't remember where that's happening. But we freaked out and said, they're done. They're done. Are we getting new Demolish? Maybe. So with that, I'm hoping they'll do a US tour. If they are officially back and they officially have a new album coming out, I'm hoping they'll be back. The last chance that they were ever in the state of Texas was at Walters on Washington in Houston, Texas, June 4th of 2006. That's a long, long time. That is almost 20 years. That is 19 long, long years without Demolish in the state of Texas. They played a couple of shows off and on in the States, various fests throughout the country, eluding the state of Texas. I am always optimistic when it comes to bands that are still around, especially old bands, especially if they're one-and-done deals like them and Baphomet, who's not on this list, but been very radio silent about a US tour for them for a very, very long time, so I'm hoping one of these days we'll get the chance to see them, and we'll talk about it on the channel here if they do. Okay, two more for you, and this is kind of in that sort of grind, crust punk vein. The grind vein, of course, being Pig Destroyer. I talked about them in my metal tag where I showed off my box set of Terrifier. I own every single studio album of Pig Destroyer. I'm missing a couple of EPs. I'm missing the 38 Counts of Battery split. I do own the Explosions and Word Sticks, so I own part of that, but you get the idea. Pig Destroyer is probably one of my favorite bands going, and in fact, they have not played the state of Texas in a very, very long time. The last time would have been Austin Terrorfest 2019 on June 7th, 2019. I believe that was at the Lost Well, which I wasn't old enough to get in at the time, so that's a shame. But now that we've got a festival here like Austin Death Fest, we also have Texas Death Fest up in Dallas, and there's the big festival that plays in Houston with a bunch of the low, gurgly, brutal death groups and the slam groups. I'm hoping maybe they'll find some spot to just chuck that band in there, chuck Pig Destroyer in there, and maybe it'll happen. I don't know. I've seen weirder things happen. And finally, we're just going to go off one, just a personal one of mine. And what hurts about this one most is that I've listened to both before the band split up and after the band split up. And the fact that they've never played anywhere in Texas after the band split up is astounding to me. They only played as a crust-punk band when they later became death metal. I'm referring to the band as Cephalix. The last time that they were here was the Chaos in Tejas Festival. I believe it was the Red 7 in Austin, June 2nd of 2011. The band split up sometime there afterwards and reformed, dropping 2 more albums in the process. I would very, very much love to see them. I've seen a couple of the members play with More Twisted Austin Death Fest, and who knows? I'd say that's going to be the near end of that. I'm hoping we'll see them at some point in time. I've covered about a lot of very, very large bands, so this was a very difficult list for me to make. So if there's any bands that you think that, like, hey, they haven't played in the US in a very, very long time, and you should go and see them if they come around, please let me know down in the comments below. I'm also challenging you, if you're watching this video and you make YouTube videos, do this challenge. Talk about 10 bands you've never seen live. Let's just see what bands overlap, what bands haven't. Maybe I've seen a band that you haven't. Maybe you've seen a band that I haven't. I would very, very much love to have that discussion with you. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay metal. I'll see you next time.